When our homes and our forests are threatened, we all appreciate the federal wildland firefighters who show up for us from all over the country. But they face bigger challenges every year, especially as climate change lengthens fire season and spawns bigger and more severe fires. But they also face struggles the rest of us never see. Long assignments away from families and support networks, low pay, and mental health challenges. I sat down recently with current and former firefighters from across the West to talk about these problems and potential solutions. Marcus, Jonathan, Kelly, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So we've all been watching the big fires in California. We've all got smoky skies. I'm curious, can we start with you, Marcus? Can you talk a little bit about what life is like for a wildland firefighter?
Sure. I would say, first of all, it's a very sort of satisfying and fulfilling career because a lot of people that do it like to be outside, like to help their neighbors. It's a public service that I think a lot of us feel satisfied at doing at the end of the day. But really the realities that we're starting to face now with potential climate change, I would say, increased fire seasons, more complex, longer duration, we're really starting to see, I would say, firefighters in a crisis mode. And this crisis mode is due to attrition. We have less firefighters on the ground at our federal levels because the pay and benefits are not adequate. Folks are asked to basically have these year-round fire seasons where we're committed to go help across the country. So I would say we're really kind of approaching a train wreck and a serious issue where firefighters are tired, they're kind of challenged mentally and physically, and it's really starting to enter a crisis mode, I would say.
So recently I saw an ad for wildland firefighters that said the job's paid $15 an hour. And I understand that's a little bit of a bump, a Biden era bump. But one, is that enough to live on? And two, my understanding is these are considered seasonal jobs.
So that $15 an hour is roughly for our entry-level jobs, which, as you said, just recently bumped up. So before that, it was anywhere from $13 to $14 an hour, depending where you're at in the country. And these are all temporary 1039 positions is what they're considered, which have zero benefits except for medical care. And the medical care they have to pay for, it gets subsidized by the federal government during their employment, but as soon as the winter and they're laid off after 6 months, they have to pay the full price. So no retirement, no opportunity to contribute to any kind of 401k. Basically zero benefits. So when the fire season's over, and this is the bulk of our federal firefighters are really these temporary employees. They're the ones that make up 3/4 of our hot shots. They're the ones that make up 3/4 of our heli-tac and smoke jumpers. As soon as the season's over, they basically have no ability to access mental health care benefits, to reach out for any kind of long-term physical issues they're having. Once they're laid off, and if their fire family's not there to support them, they have no benefits. So it's a tough position we put these temporary employees in, and many of them live in their cars because they can't afford the housing around where they work. So places, in the mountains, these mountain towns that have very expensive places to live that don't have crew quarters, basically these kids are living in their cars to go and fight wildland fire across the country, which is, it's hard to say and hard to think about, but I've been there. I did 11 years as a seasonal, and I look back and just kind of like unbelievable.
Yeah. Kelly Martin, you worked as a wildland firefighter for 35 years for the Forest Service and for the Bureau of Land Management. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about this sort of long-term immersion in emergency situations, which is different from what we see sort of municipal firefighters or even police officers. Wildland firefighters are dealing with something very different.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Laura. And just for clarification, I spent half my career with the Forest Service and half with the National Park Service. And didn't work for the BLM, but worked with them quite a bit throughout my career. Correct. The immersion that we're seeing now is way completely different than when I started 35 years ago. I might have gained maybe 400 hours of overtime during a summer season. And now we're seeing people regularly working 1,000, 1,500. And I think I've even heard that there's people out there that are almost working like 2,000 hours of overtime a year. So this constant immersion in an emergency mode is really having a tremendous impact on people's mental health and well-being, to say nothing of their physical well-being as well, when they're exposed to tremendous amounts of smoke, lots of risks and dangers with traveling on really rough, rugged backcountry roads. Vehicle accidents are always an issue, falling snags, burnovers. So that idea that individuals are now in this almost 24/7 year after year, we've really started seeing it accelerate in 2000, and now for 2001, it's without a doubt that that's how people are living their lives. Whereas in municipal fire departments, a fire station might get a call, they're 4 minutes en route to the emergency, and they have the emergency stabilized within about an hour and a half. That's simply just not the case for wildland firefighters. We are in it 24/7, week after week, month after month, and now we're talking year after year.
Earlier this year, a firefighter, Tim Hart, was killed due to injuries he sustained on a fire here in New Mexico. And after his death, I remember seeing a GoFundMe campaign to help his family dealing with the expenses due to his hospitalization. And I just remember thinking he was a federal employee working on a federal fire. What kinds of, how are firefighters taken care of when they sustain injuries or unfortunate accidents like this?
So that's kind of the reality of the situation. There's an organization that was started roughly 20 years ago called the Wildland Firefighter Foundation. And really that organization was the catalyst, and it's all charity donations from basically wildland firefighters supporting each other. So I would say recently, land management agencies have started to do a better job. I would give credit there, but I would say starting to. And we're seeing where they're not being able to cover, these GoFundMe and the Wildland Firefighter Foundation cover Tim's family to be able to travel down, be able to cover mortgage and bills when he's in a tough position in a hospital. Any of our firefighters be able to help the family make it through, because these families that we have basically depend on us being firefighters and us going and working and being away from home for 6 months out of the year. So as soon as that money's gone, there's no base, there's no help for the family. So long-term sort of medical care, I know the Wildland Firefighter Foundation has bought wheelchairs, has helped rehab. And the reality of why we need this is our OWCP program, the Office of Workmen's Comp, is broken. We have firefighters struggling that get injured on the job, struggling year after year to basically just survive these catastrophic incidents they have with mountains of paperwork, very little help from the federal government, and basically it's easier to just get outside donations to make it through.
Wow. Jonathan, you were a wildland firefighter for over a decade. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about some of the private struggles that wildland firefighters are going through that, we in the public just have no idea these things are happening.
Yeah, thanks again for the opportunity to be here. Some of the private struggles that, I went through, and I know my friends have gone through, are just the isolation that you feel, and the separation you have from your friends, from your families back home, the events that you miss out on, birthdays, weddings, graduations. I even know of husbands and partners that were I was on fire with while their wife delivered their children. And you miss out on these significant moments, and when it comes time to lay down at night and try to get some sleep, you think about these things, and it really begins to weigh on you. What am I missing out on? What am I doing here? I know when I started to have a family with my wife, it just became no longer sustainable for us or realistic for us to potentially move our whole family across the country in order for me to chase a promotional opportunity, to effectively actually have more responsibility and be gone a lot more. And so, when that goes on, it becomes a real struggle. And sometimes we're able to successfully bury or suppress those memories, but it comes out in the wintertime. People turn to alcohol or drugs. We've lost partners and friends to suicide from it all, and so it's a real problem within the community that frankly isn't, I think, talked about enough and or addressed as best as it could be.
So I think the public, we very much have this perception of wildland firefighters. When our communities are at risk, people go out there with signs and want to bake cookies and drop off water and are so grateful when y'all arrive. But it really feels to me that there's this disconnect between what we, the public, think you all are going through and what is actually happening. And I'm curious, how are you supported by these federal agencies that we all pay taxes to, and are imagining that you're being supported? Is there support for things like depression or PTSD or anxiety, or helping address this work-life balance that seems to be a problem?
I would say those are catchwords that different agency leadership have thrown out there, work-life balance. But the reality, Laura, is that these programs are anemic at best. And so I would be remiss to say that there's no help. We do have help networks, but I myself have tried to look into them. Like, for me as a first responder to seek help on a particular kind of issue, like, there's no counselors in my area that specialize in that are within that program. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people have faced with. It's very difficult to find mental health help on there. It's very difficult to go through the program, and really you only get like 5 to 7 visits and then it's on you. So a very weak support network. And like I was saying with the temporary employees, as soon as they're laid off, they basically have no access to this. So when you're in that transition time, like Johnny's talking about, into the season, you go away from your fire family, now you're turning to alcohol and drugs to hit those voids. You're very angry with the world, I would say. It's really kind of, when I see these war movies of people coming back from Vietnam or war and trying to like reintegrate into society, that's really what people go through on a yearly cyclical basis of being totally immersed in a war type setting, away from all your support network, and then you come back to try to integrate. And so I would say it's very poor, and I think it's a known issue, and folks are working on it, but at a very slow rate to really make a significant change. I would say we need more money, we need better programs, we need more support.
So speaking of change, I'd like to talk a little bit about climate change. Let's start with you, Kelly. Fires 35 years ago compared with the fires we're seeing now. How has climate change affected the fire season and the wildland firefighters who have to deal with fire season?
Think about the environment that we're working in now and how different that was when I first started. So climate change is certainly a contributing factor, especially when we look at, significantly higher temperatures, longer fire seasons. So we can actually measure that. So we know that that's actually occurring. The other thing that's occurring is this unnatural fuel buildup. If you can imagine, from one moment, the Western United States was very void of people about 150 years ago. So quote unquote, the good fire or the friendly fire was allowed to play its natural role on the landscape for millennia. And here we come and we occupy the West at tremendous numbers. California used to have 1.5 million people in 1900, and now they're up to 40 million. So we're seeing this play out where not only is climate change adding to these large mega fires, but we're also seeing the unnatural fuel buildup because of the suppression of wildfires on the landscape, which is increasing the fuel loading in the vegetation and also increasing the insect disease and drought susceptibility to trees that are on the landscape and adding to the population explosion. So it's really putting our firefighters in a really untenable situation especially these last 24 months. This is really should portend to all of us what the years are going to look like in the years to come. And we cannot keep operating under the same antiquated system that we developed 50 years ago.
Well, thank you, all three of you, so much for this conversation.